things, but I always wanted to prove that I was domesticated, I was good enough. I wanted to prove that I was loyal enough, beautiful enough, appealing enough, good enough, good enough. And I realized that I was sad that day in my car because I had tried so hard to be good enough. So hard. But yet, I felt like I was overlooked. Overlooked for job positions. Overlooked to be a wife. Overlooked for certain schools. Just struggling with feelings of not being good enough. And I realized that in order to get to where I need to go, in order to be who God has called me to be, I had to conquer that demon. I had to look myself in the mirror and be okay with what God gave me and understand that I am second to none.
That's right.
And so many people look at me and think, oh, she got it all together. She's confident, and I would say yes. But there was something deep down inside of me where I kept on struggling with trying to prove myself. And on the 27th of August, that wasn't too long ago, I freed myself from the burden of being good enough.
Wow.
So guess what?
Woo!
Guess what? All my life I was in pre-law, and I started to feel a shift in undergrad, right? But I continued on that track because I had to be good enough for my mom. And I realized, you know what? I'm going to start doing what makes me happy.
That's right.
If Chanel doesn't want to do it,
Come on now.
if Chanel doesn't feel it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who expects me to do it.
Come on.
I'm going to do what makes me happy.
Right.
And so many of us have titles: mom, wife, friend, sister, bishop. And even the younger ones, I want you to understand that the pressure was on me when I was in middle school to be good enough, to be pretty enough. I remember being in the 5th grade and liking, wanting certain guys to like me and wanting them to see me as good enough. Well, it got so deep, my issue with wanting to feel good enough, that I allowed myself to get into a relationship that would rock my world. Y'all see that little baby girl following me around? She's a product of that relationship. And that relationship started in 2010, the communication. Yeah, well, we gotta do some math. Right? She's 4, subtract. And I remember still having that burden of wanting to feel accepted and good enough. And finally, here was my opportunity to be good enough. So I don't know about you guys, but I've always liked Reggie Bush. He's a football player. And finally, I thought I saw Reggie Bush on campus. Listen, y'all, when I'm talking about dark,
Come on now.
when I'm talking about handsome, when I'm talking about the face of a God and that football body, I was like, okay, be cool, be cool, be cool. And I already knew from day one that this man was not equally yoked with me and my assignment, and my vision, and my purpose. But still, there was this struggle with wanting to be good enough. Finally, I'm going to feel what I want to feel by joining myself with someone who was the biggest distraction of my life. But don't you know that when you're distracted, and when you're thrown off, and when you're hurt, and when you're sad, and when you're depressed, that's just pressure helping you to become refined, gold. So I want to first point out, before I continue with that story, that if you have struggles right now, if you look at him up, girl, he's fine. If you are feeling left out, left behind, sad, depressed, alone, if you didn't make the cheerleading team, if you didn't make the basketball team, if you don't feel you're smart enough, if you don't feel loved enough, these dark seasons in your life is going to create the best version of you will ever see.
Yes.
The dark moments in your life is cultivating motivating you to be who you want to be, and it's directing you to where you want to go. So fast forward, got into that relationship. It was abusive physically, mentally. And then, as a result of that, I ended up having a child that I was not mentally prepared to have. But let me tell you something, that experience has made me the woman I am today.
That's right.
And sometimes you look pretty on the outside and you look strong, and people think that you had no struggle, that you've had no journey. But I want you to know that despite your struggle, despite your journey, Ashanti got up earlier today and spoke about things that she experienced with her mother. And I've known her for a while, so I know other experiences that she went through. But I'm so proud of who she is today.
Yes.
So please understand that struggles in your marriage, struggles in your self-image, that is helping to refine you and help to bring you to where you want to be. So back to being good enough. After coming out of that relationship and finding myself, I want to say that I also got closer to God. Because when you have distractions in your life, it disrupts where you're supposed to be, your core, what you're supposed to be doing. And I realized, as it was stated earlier, that I had a passion for just connecting with people.